What's up, guys? Welcome to the weekly technicals for Sunday, April 14th, 2019, and we're currently looking at the forexfactory.com for the upcoming news events for the week. And I just want to go over this before we jump into the charts. So looking at Monday, April 15th, we have a good bit of news events this coming week, and nothing that really stands out that we should stay away from. So we'll likely see some volatility here on Monday. New York session, we've got Canadian dollar as well as USD news. And then for Tuesday, we've got a later London session news event for British pound. And then we've got medium impact for euro and New Zealand dollar later in the day. So we'll likely see some pretty nice volatility on British pound and euro here on Tuesday as well. And going into Wednesday, we got a lot of stuff. So we've got OPEC meetings, then we've got British pound for 4:30 a.m. London session, and then we've got a bunch of Canadian dollar news here for New York session. So likely we'll be focused on dollar CAD and potentially British pound setups. Primarily for me, though, I'll be looking at dollar CAD. GBP has been a little out of whack in terms of price action, which we'll talk about when we get to that. And then moving on to Thursday, we've got a lot more stuff. So we've got a ton of euro news. So we'll likely see a big day on euro here. We've got 3:15, 3:30, and 4 a.m. So London session will probably be quite busy for euro here. And then for New York session, a bunch more Canadian dollar and USD news. So we'll likely have a pretty volatile week. As you guys can see, no NFP, no FOMC, no interest rate announcements, nothing like that. So we've got a pretty good week in terms of what's to come, in my opinion. So we'll likely find some good opportunities this week. I know trading has been a little slow since the beginning of the year, but I think we're getting to a point now to where we'll start seeing some volatility come in, especially with this week here. We've got a lot of high impact and medium impact news events, so we'll likely see some expansions, which will be nice and present some trade opportunities. So looking at dollar index, we're on a daily chart here, and we still got this triple top up here, which I think we're gonna want to run this at some point. But looking at this, I didn't like the fact that they did this. So we traded below these two down candles here, and we formed a ICT bearish shoulder block, and that's what this red arrow is delineating. I'm going to delete that now. But then we pushed up Thursday back into the ICT bearish shoulder block, and then we sold off again. So what I'm looking at is this down candle here, which comes in at 96.68, and I would honestly like to see dollar index find some support here. I don't really want to see it dip too far into here, so honestly anywhere from 96.70 to 96.60 we should find some support, and from that level I'd like to see a pretty nice expansion to the upside, clearing out this triple top here at 97.70. So roughly from 96.70 to 97.70 we've got 100 pips in terms of upside potential on dollar index. Now if we get below 96.50 in here, which will take us below this candle, then we have to start looking for 96 big figure as well as 95.80 in terms of a downside target. But overall, I'm still bullish dollar index unless we get below 96.50. As long as we remain above 96.50, then I'll be looking for higher prices on dollar index. And initially last week, I was looking for a continuation on dollar index, taking us above the triple top here. But as you guys can see, really Monday, we had a nice little sell-off. Tuesday, sell-off. Wednesday, sell-off. Thursday was the only day we seen a bullish day, which traded back into the ICT bearish order block. And then Friday, we had a continuation lower. So based on the price action we're getting in here, I'm looking to see if we can get a little bit of a lower move here into 96.70, hit this level, and then find some strength to start rallying higher. I'm going to drop down to an hourly chart, and we'll kind of look at this more so on an intraday basis. Those of you in the premium group, as you're probably aware by now, I wasn't able to record the weekly technicals, daily technicals on Wednesday and Thursday. My MetaTrader has been acting up, and I had to delete the actual application off my computer and reinstall it again. So honestly, it really pissed me off because I lost pretty much all of my templates and the levels that I had marked up on my chart, which I mark up every single day. So pretty much since the beginning of 2019 and dating all the way back into 2018. I lost all the levels that I had on my charts. So I spent this morning about 2 hours or so going back through, marking all of my charts, all of my levels. So that's finally set back up. But I do have a Windows computer, so I finally pulled the trigger on actually getting a Windows computer and switching from Mac, which I love using my Mac, but at least once a year I run into a problem where my MetaTrader app that I use on Mac won't open. And then that causes me to do what I had to do today, which is going back through them and remarking all my levels and everything, which I do on like a weekly and monthly and even a daily basis already. But when I lose all of the previous levels, it's quite annoying, because then I have to go back all the way, to really just beginning of 2019 is what I did today. And it takes a while, and it's really just a pain in the ass, honestly. So I have a Microsoft Surface that should be here Monday or Tuesday. So I'm switching my trading onto a PC now. So I will have like the normal MetaTrader, and I shouldn't run into any issues because MetaTrader is designed for Windows. Not sure if anyone else trades on a Mac and you guys experience any issues with your actual MetaTrader platform, but if so, drop a comment below this video, because I would definitely like to know if you found a solution, or if you even run into any problems at all, because it seems that at least once or twice a year I run into an issue, and I don't know if it's because I have a lot of stuff on my computer or what, but before I deleted the actual application, I went through and cleaned my whole computer, paid $50 for some Mac cleaner tool. Didn't solve the problem, so I just decided to go ahead and get a PC, because it's pretty annoying to have to do this, multiple times a year. So I want to just, I planned on getting a PC at some point eventually. I didn't plan on doing it this weekend, but I just went ahead and pulled the trigger on it, because it's too much of a time issue when I have to go back and try to figure out why it's not working, and then remark up all my charts and everything. And I figure if I just use a PC for trading specifically, then I shouldn't run into any issues like that. So I'm going to do all my day-to-day work on, like for my consulting business, I'm going to do all of my day-to-day work here on my Mac, and which I'm using right now until the PC comes in. And I'm going to be using the Surface that I got for strictly trading. So I'm going to have MetaTrader on that, and I don't plan on really using it for anything else outside of trading. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of all that. So you guys, it may look a little different when I record these videos with that platform itself, but overall should still be the same. Just wanted to kind of give you guys an update on that. So looking at the intraday charts, we're still on dollar index here. This is an hourly chart, and you can see we've got, so each of these vertical lines delineates a new day. So we've got Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. And if you look, Monday we had a sell-off here, clear out the liquidity below here. Tuesday, a little bit of a continuation. Wednesday, we had FOMC, so we've seen a lot of choppy price action. We rallied all the way back up. Failed to hit this ICT bearish order block here. Sold off, and then kind of chopped sideways until Thursday. Thursday, we had another pop up. Failed to break above the previous day's high. Sold off again on Friday. Came retraced back up into this down candle here, which was a previous ICT bullish order block. Once we get below it, now previous support turns into newfound resistance, sold off, and cleared out all the intraday lows that we had in between here. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday had a relative equal lows here. Market took that out on Friday, came all the way back up, traded back into this ICT bearish order block, and then we had a bit of a sell-off before the weekly close. So going into this upcoming week, I think we'll get a continuation lower first, and I think we're going to trade into that 96. Where's it at? This blue line here, which is that ICT daily bullish order block, 96.70, which will also take us below these lows in here, clear out some more liquidity. And once we hit that level, I'm looking for a continuation to the upside. So we may see something like this, trade into it. And then we want to look for that bullish price action I always talk about. So you're going to want to look for the market forming a low, comes up, makes a high, makes a higher low point. Then we're going to look for the market to rally above the previous formed high, creating a higher high, indicating a shift in direction. and then our entry opportunity will basically be here. Right? So once the market has confirmed to us that it wants to go higher off of our daily level, once we get this higher high, all we do is wait for the retest back into the previous high, which this down move here should be an ICT bullish order block or some level of support. We buy it, and then we're going to look for it to run above all the highs back here, and longer term 97.70, which is roughly about 100 pips from down here if the market comes down to these levels. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this off of the charts now. And that's the ideal scenario I'll be looking for this week, is if we can trade down into that daily bullish order block, find some strength, and prove to us that it wants to go higher, and then we can start targeting the highs on dollar index. So overall for the week, bullish still. If we get below 96.50, then I'll have to switch directions and look for lower prices below 96 big figure and 95.80. But as long as we stay above 96.50, I'll be looking for higher prices. So in summary, as soon as the week starts, I'm looking for the market to trade lower into 96.60 to 96.70, find support, show me that it's found support, and start trading higher, and then I'll go long, ideally somewhere between Monday and Tuesday. And if the market's going to have a bullish week, then I'll hold on to it from Monday, Tuesday to at least Thursday New York session, and potentially Friday New York session, depending on what the price action is looking like at that time. Alright, so let's move over to euro dollar, and very similar scenario with this one here, inverse of dollar index. So we have these relative equal lows here, and longer term this is going to be the objective I'm looking for on the downside, especially if dollar index pushes up. We should be seeing weakness on euro dollar, which will likely take us below 1.1180, and then we have some liquidity back here if I zoom out, below these equal lows and into this ICT bullish order block. So longer term we could see 1.11s and then 1.10s on euro dollar. And where we're at right now is kind of a key level. So we've got an ICT bearish order block, this up candle before the down move. Notice how Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday we were kind of poking around that level. Friday we had to pop up into it, and the wick traded through it, but the bodies of the candles still closed within the ICT bearish order block. So what I'm curious to see is if we're going to find resistance here and start selling off, and if we can get back below 1.1250, which will take us below this down candle here, then we can start looking for the 1.1180, then 1.11s, 1.10s, etc. So I'm going to delete this right there, and I'm going to keep this red box here because basically on a lower time frame, I know if we get above this, then we'll likely see higher prices, potentially into this last up candle before the down move, which is an ICT bearish order block as well. But ideally, I would like to see them find resistance from where they're at now and start selling off. So they could possibly consolidate going into Monday while dollar index trades lower into that daily order block and then gain some strength. When that happens, we should look for this to start selling off. So overall for euro dollar, I'm still bearish. If we get back above the 50% level of this candle, which will be like roughly 1.14 big figure, then we'll have to look for 1420s, 1.1450s, and then 1.15 big figure, and so on. But overall, I think we should see some weakness in euro dollar from here, especially based on the fact of what we're looking at with dollar index potentially trading above that triple top. All right, so if we look at this on an intraday basis, you guys can see Friday's trading. Again, the vertical lines mark each day. Friday had a huge pop up, clearing out all the liquidity above the market for the week. Wednesday, what am I saying? Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. So Monday, we had a pop up here, clearing out previous week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday liquidity. Market consolidated. Tuesday really didn't do much. Wednesday, we had FOMC, so the market ran the high here, then came all the way back down, ran the lows in here. And what I want to point out to you guys is this. Even though it was FOMC, this is why I still like to observe price. I don't trade on FOMC days, but it's nice when you see the technicals being respected on a high impact news event like that. So if we mark this blue, we've got an ICT bullish order block here on an hourly basis. Last down candle before the market has a run up. Wednesday on FOMC, what do? after running the high, right? So we ran above this high. All right, this high here, previous day, so Tuesday's high, we ran above it here. Then we sold off, rejected all the way back into an hourly order block, found some support there, rallied up, left equal highs. Thursday came all the way back down into this last down candle before the move up. So if we use the open, so you can see the market dipped into that Thursday, and then Friday found some more support, rallied up, cleared out the equal highs that we left in here. So we can adjust this. So these equal highs were left in the market. Retail is now selling this because they see a double top. So they're selling it, selling it, selling it. Market finds support at an ICT bullish order block. We find support there, rally up, clear out the equal highs, and that in itself was a tradable opportunity. Unfortunately, I was not able to take place in any trades from Wednesday to Friday because my MetaTrader fucked up. But that was a nice little 40 pip opportunity, right? We don't have to worry about catching the continuation here, right? But we were able to see this as a viable opportunity. Now, I want you guys to look at this. So, once we get above the equal highs, if we just draw this out, what is this? We break above the equal highs. So say you missed the opportunity here, and let's just draw a... Alright, say you missed this opportunity. The market runs above, closes above it. So what would this be? A break in market structure on an hourly basis. So what do we look for? Old resistance now becomes newfound support. We trade right back into it here, and then we have another run up. Where into 1.13 big figure, which is a big figure level. So 1.1280 to 1.13 big figure, 20 pips, overall with another 40 pip run. So nice opportunity there on Friday, and obviously I didn't take part in none of this or see any of this forming because I had no charts to look at. And typically I only use TradingView for the weekly analysis like this and my dollar index analysis, and I prefer to trade off of my actual desktop than my phone. So yeah, I really just elected to kind of sit out of the markets last week because of the whole MetaTrader thing, and it was definitely clouding my my judgment for sure, because I was extremely pissed off that had happened to me again, because it's like the 4th or 5th time it's happened over the course of my career in trading. So it's been quite fun. So thankful to honestly have the PC on the way, because that's going to be a lifesaver. So in summary, euro dollar, really just looking for a continuation to the downside. If we get above 1.14 big figure, which is roughly this candle here, if we get back above 1.14, which is here, then I'll be looking for 1420 and then a run on this high at 1450, then 1.15 big figure. Obviously, I'll update you guys in the premium group if that changes, but going into the week, I am bearish and I'm looking for a continuation lower. Ideally, I want to see them get below 1.1250, and from there we should see continued expansion below 1.1180, 1.11s, 1.10s, and so on. Alright, so let's move on to British Pound, and I really am not going to stay on this too long at all because there's not much to talk about. We've been in a long-term consolidation on British Pound, so we can even move out to a weekly and you can see this. So notice how we've just really consolidated. I mean, what is this? July 2018, we've just been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? And even since here on beginning in 2019 in January, we've just been consolidating, right? So we haven't had really anything to work with in here. So if we go back out to a daily, we have continuously come back down to 1.13 big figure. Let me take a sip of water. We've continuously come back into 1.30 big figure here. Notice we got above it, found support, came back down into it, found support, came back down into it, support, back into it, support, back into it, minor support. So I think there is a lot of liquidity built up below 1.30 big figure, and longer term we could see higher prices on British Pound, but as of right now I'm looking for weakness. Now, something I want you guys to take in, even though we are in a consolidation. We've got a high here, then the market comes all the way down, makes a low, come back up, make a lower high, comes all the way back down, makes a lower low. Lower high, failed to make a lower low here. So it could be a little tough to distinguish what they're trying to do in here, but personally, I just think there's a lot of liquidity built up below 1.30 big figure. So I think that'll be the next downside objective. So we can honestly just draw like a little box. And I'll be looking for them to really dip down into that. So roughly about 70 pips from where we're at now. And if we start closing with big bearish candles below that, we'll likely trade back into these two down candles, which is an ICT bullish order block before this run up. So that will be a downside objective. And let me just mark that out. So this comes in at 1.2890. And that's from 1.3060. So we could see about 150 pips on the downside on British pound, at least, yeah, 160 or so, down into this daily ICT bullish order block. So that's kind of what I see for this. Even though we are in a consolidation, it does look relatively weak for me, and we've just found a lot of support in here. So no retail is buying this thing every time it comes into this level. So I'm looking for the market to really have some strength when selling off and just taking out any buyers of British pound. So we should see an expansion below 1.30 big figure, and we may even trade down into here, which is 1.29s, 1.2850s. And that's really all I'm going to talk about on British pound, because this is very sorry guys, it's very manipulated right now, and it's not worth my time, in my opinion. So I've kind of switched to adding like dollar CAD as one of my primary pairs that I focus on a daily basis, because typically I just focus on euro dollar and British pound. Since British pound has been quite difficult since the beginning of the year, I've really spent a lot more time working with dollar CAD. So I've kind of replaced British pound for the meantime. I don't know if it's permanent yet, but I've kind of replaced British pound for the meantime with dollar CAD, because it's, in my opinion, a lot clearer, and there's not all this crazy Brexit stuff going on with it right now. So it's just much more high probability, in my opinion. So overall, still looking for weakness on this, with potential trade back into this daily ICT bullish order block here. Alright, now if we look on Euro GBP, this will be a quick one as well. Still consolidating overall. Obviously, we're still below the 50% of the range. So you guys can go back for months now. We've been talking about this thing being within the highs here and within the lows here. We traded below the lows, and we've just been consolidating ever since then. As long as we really remain below 50% of the range, we should be seeing continued expansion to the downside. Now, we may see a little pop-up or something like that, but overall we're still on a higher time frame consolidation on Euro GBP, so that should allow both Euro and British pound to inversely correlate with the dollar index. So for example, if we see higher prices on dollar index, we should be looking for continued weakness on Euro and GBP, with the expectation of Euro GBP consolidating in here. Alright, and finally let's move on to dollar CAD, and then we'll wrap it up. Alright, so dollar CAD, we have really been working this daily ICT bullish order block here, and we keep tapping into it. So honestly, if we can see dollar index trade into the daily bullish order block and start finding some strength and rallying higher from there, we should definitely see dollar CAD start expanding to the upside as well. First upside objectives will be above Thursday's high, which is 1.34 big figure, and then we'll look for a run above 34.50, 34.60s, and we've got an ICT daily bearish order block up here at 35.60. So this is going to be my target longer term on dollar CAD. I think we're going up here. As long as we really remain above 1.33 big figure, I think that'll happen. Now, if we get below 1.33 big figure, we could trade back into this consolidation down here at the 1.32s, 1.3150s. But that's only if we get below 1.33 big figure. So it's close, but personally I think we may just consolidate in here until having a run up. Now again, if we get below 1.33 big figure, we're going to have to look for some sort of a scenario like this. So say we close below 1.33 big figure on a daily basis, you can look for a retest of that level, and then you can go short with the expectation of it trading back down into these candles here, which is a daily ICT bullish order block, because it's the last two down candles before the price ran up and cleared out the liquidity and made a higher high. So this is what I'll be looking for in terms of a downside perspective, but overall I am bullish dollar CAD and I'm looking for higher prices, and we're trading within the daily bullish order block right now. So honestly, we're in an area where we should see support being found, and look for the market to rally up from here. So if we look at it on a hourly basis, you can see Friday we had a sell-off, but Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, we had a nice little run. So Monday initially we traded lower, and then we traded into Tuesday here, and we hit the ICT daily bullish order block. No, that's, let me see, hold on one second, what is that level? It's the 1.33 big figure. So Tuesday we traded into 1.33 big figure, formed the low of the week, rallied up, broke above this high, came back down into what? Previous high that was broken above. Market finds support there, and then Thursday we have a pretty explosive run to the upside, clearing out the liquidity above here and previous day's high. And then Friday we have a sell-off rejection back into these down candles here, which is another ICT bullish order block. So we're within a daily ICT bullish order block as well as an hourly ICT bullish order block. So we should find some support and really start trading higher. So we're going to want to start looking for that bullish price action, right? So we're going to want to look for a run up, and then the market to come back down, make a higher low point, then the market to run up again, make a higher high. That will be the confirmation we're looking for. Then we wait for the market to trade back into the previous high, which is either an ICT bullish order block or some form of support. Once that happens, this is our signal for a buying opportunity right in this area, right? And it could be higher than this or whatever, but on an hourly to a 15-minute time frame, you want to be looking for this type of price action: a high, higher low, higher high. Once this higher high breaks above the previous one, you can look to go long, right? Stop can be below this low or the previous low down here. So that is what I'll be looking for on dollar CAD, and those of you in the premium group, I'll update you on any signals and everything like that I take for the week. As I mentioned, I should have my new computer here Monday or Tuesday, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And not that it's going to affect anything with trading or make anything better, but it will just be a really big time saver for me in terms of having my levels being consistently marked up, not having to worry about my platform not working. I'll have access to all the features of MetaTrader 4, which I don't really have access to a lot of features on MetaTrader 4 with the program for Mac. It's just kind of limited in a certain few areas. Excuse me. And yeah, overall, I think we'll have a pretty nice and volatile week, especially looking at the economic calendar and seeing everything that we have upcoming for the week, and being that the markets have been in a pretty tight consolidation. It's about time that we get some volatility. So hopefully that's we get some expansion and things like that for this week. But that is it for the weekly technicals, guys. If you have any questions, post them below this video, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. And I will talk to you next week on Sunday for the weekly technicals. So you guys have a good week, and hopefully you can find some profitable trades. Those of you in the premium group, as I mentioned, I will update you in the Telegram chat with any signals or trades that I take for the week. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below this video. But until I talk to you next week, have a good week.